John, it is day 2 of cross-examination for Michael Cohen, but 2 questions remain for the defense. Will Trump's attorneys call any witnesses, and will the former president take the stand? Our next guest is at the courthouse in a show of support, Republican Florida Congressman Mike Waltz. Congressman, thanks for joining us. What do you think? Can you answer either of those for us?
I'm not going to get ahead of the defense's strategy, Sandra, but I could tell you, can I just take a step back and tell you how surreal it was sitting in that courtroom, seeing the President of the United States, the Commander-in-Chief, in a courtroom that deals with petty criminals, in a crime where he hasn't even been charged, with the key witness. I had even forgotten how much Cohen had lied. I had forgotten about the Intelligence Committee, where he lied about Russia, and then lied about lying later on, and then lied to the judge when he pled guilty for lying. So the whole thing was surreal, and it takes me back to places I've served, Africa, South America, the Middle East, where weaponizing a judge and judicial system against a political opponent is normal. Where you run for office and you lose, you expect to get put in jail. And, is this where America's going? I just never thought I would see that firsthand with my own eyes, what I saw today.
Yesterday at the Weaponization of Government Subcommittee, Robert Costello, who at one point was Michael Cohen's attorney, testified. He had a long conversation, about a couple of hours in length, with Michael Cohen about all of this business regarding Stormy Daniels, the non-disclosure agreement, the payments. Because at the time, Cohen was facing some serious legal troubles, and he was looking for a way out. And if he could drop a dime on anybody, Costello says, to get out of those legal troubles, he would have done it. But that Cohen didn't seem to have anything in his pocket. Listen to what Costello said in an interview this morning with Bill and Dana.
He kept on saying over and over again, 10 to 20 times, I swear to God, Bob, I don't have anything on Donald Trump. I even said to him, Michael, think about this. Isn't it easier to cooperate against Donald Trump if you have truthful information than it is to kill yourself? Well, the answer is obvious. That was his moment in time. If he had something truthful to say, I'm willing to cooperate. But he didn't take that.
Costello was saying that Cohen was up on the roof of the Regency Hotel and was thinking about jumping off because he couldn't face the legal troubles ahead of him. But the fact that somebody like Robert Costello, who knows him well, was willing to testify under oath in Congress to all of this, comes up with something that is completely contradictory to what Cohen has been saying. How does that strike you?
Well, and that was his testimony to Congress, just yesterday.
Yeah.
I would love to see Costello up here as a defense witness saying my former client is lying yet again and has every motivation to do so because he's enriching himself on podcasts and on TV shows and on networks and everywhere else. But, Cohen as a serial habitual liar is one thing. John, the thing that just continues to jump out to me is a judge that has no issue with his daughter making tons of money literally on this trial as a political operative that has Democrat members of Congress as her client, but then himself that contributes to Democrats. You contrast that. In Florida, judges won't even take a photo with me or any other politician.
Yeah.
I know a judge who's married to a county commissioner won't even go to events with his wife because he doesn't want to be seen in any way as anything but objective. But up here in New York, I guess that's okay. And I fear we're going to have this spread of this weaponization. And you know what? President Trump is going to be able to fight it off. But you start doing this to members of Congress, senators, just slinging around indictments, and our entire democracy is in trouble.
We hear your concern and we sense your urgency. And I saw a tweet from you this morning, Congressman, where you alerted that you would be standing alongside the president, you said in this tweet, and his family at what you called a sham trial. And you lamented it's a shame our country's fallen to this place where New York Democrats have weaponized the courts to interfere with our election. You then said President Trump will beat this and we will send him back to the White House this November. The former president, this morning, as he was walking to the courtroom, he shared his concerns that he is not out on the campaign trail. What do you believe the impact is the longer he sits in that courtroom and is not out there campaigning?
Well, actually, and this is going to be what historians look at as the sad irony of all of this, it's helping them. I think politically, the American people see right through this, and we're going to continue to remind them. That's why myself and House conservatives were up here saying what President Trump constitutionally, unconstitutionally isn't allowed to say with this gag order. We're going to remind them that Biden's number 3 official in the Department of Justice is not down in Washington, D.C. in the DOJ. He's sitting right here in the courtroom a couple of feet from President Trump. This is election interference at its worst and a weaponized DOJ. Biden's number 3 justice official is right inside that room.
So on the subject of you and other folks being up there in New York, that microphone stand in the park across the street from the courthouse seems to serve as somewhat of an audition stage for people who might be considered for vice president or potentially for other positions if Trump wins re-election. And I know that you were down in Mar-a-Lago with a bunch of other potential vice presidential picks, at which the president said this. Oh, it's a full screen. I'm sorry. He talks about you saying, a man that knows more about the military. When I want to know about the military, I call him. So 2 questions for you. Are you ready to change your voter registration and give up your seat in Congress to be the vice president, or would you like to be SecDef?
John, I want to get President Trump elected, and I mean that. And it is the worst of the worst in Washington when people start measuring curtains. We need to be talking about swing states, turnout, and getting him elected to save this country. But I will say this. You remember just a year ago, the mainstream media was saying no one would want to work with President Trump. He won't be able to get anybody in his cabinet or as his vice president. Look at the amount of Republican talent, serious, thoughtful individuals that were standing up on that stage with him, that are fighting for him, that believe in his policies and believe in his vision for this country. And I think that's the statement that came out of that Mar-a-Lago picture.
Can you narrow down the list? I mean, do you happen to know who's top pick for him?
Again, there's a lot of people that want it, and President Trump being President Trump is gonna, might be a little bit like Apprenticed, right up to the convention, and that's okay. Because at the end of the day, this was the failure in or the premise in the primary, that you get all the policies that we say we love and that are good for the country without the leader. And as I've said before, you don't get Apple without Cook, you don't get SpaceX without Elon, and you don't get America First policies and the disruptor that we badly need in Washington without President Trump. And so that's what we're all getting behind. And you know what, though? I think there's plenty on that stage that he calls and says, let's make this country great again, are going to salute and move out, because that's what you do. It's a call to serve.
All right. Congressman, good to talk to you. Thanks so much for spending time.
Thank you, Congressman.